markets. Canada is not open to us. They need to open their market. Unless they're willing to open their market, they're going to pay a tariff. I think the president's going to open between $300 and $400 billion of opportunity for Americans.
The White House made it very clear countries will have to open their markets to American businesses if they want a lower tariff and to reach a good U.S. trade deal. In Canada, no different. Across the Atlantic, Howard Lutnick is confident that his team can strike a deal with the EU by August 1st. But negotiations are getting tense. The European Union is now preparing a retaliation plan as the United States refuses to budge on baseline tariffs. Let's start with Canada first, because, Kevin, you touched on it a little bit with Carney before, and how you think this negotiation is going to play out. Your thoughts on that and USMCA?
It's tense. There's no question about it. Canada is one of the countries I invest in, along with the EU and the Middle East. The situation there boils down to a couple of things. Lutnick was making reference to two major buffers that Canada has set up against the U.S., financial services and the banking sector, and then supply-side management in dairy, for example, in Quebec. These are sticking points right now. Carney's well aware of it. You got to remember, Canada was run by an idiot king for a decade. And the GDP ground to a halt, and 25% of the population there now lives at the poverty line. So Carney is highly incentivized to fix these problems. He realizes that 70% of trade is with 26 states in the U.S. So this is a give and take. He doesn't want to hit August 1, back up to the April 3rd 35% tax. He'd love to cut a deal. I know his team is killing themselves trying to do it right now. And, you know, it's back and forth, back and forth. But a lot of the people involved in it are still the Trudeau-era retreads, because he's got to deal with what he's got. So he may have to get personally involved. The amazing thing about Trump, which is so different than previous administrations, you got to sit down with the guy, because he's a very transactional guy. And that's not what they're used to. They're used to sending a team down. They work with other administrative people. In the end, if it's really tight, Carney has to get his rear end down to Washington again, maybe. And the thing about Trump is he lets people watch the sausage being made. The cameras are in the White House. That freaks out a lot of people. But
you think Carney's freaked out by it?
No, Carney has done a good job, and I think he's not a majority mandate. And unfortunately, in the parliamentary system in Australia, Britain, and Canada, the longest you last before another election is 12 to 18 months. So he's got to get moving here. He missed it by just a few seats. And so he's got that pressure. Plus, the Canadian people want to see a deal. They want to get this thing over with because it's so volatile. You can't even buy whiskey in Ontario from Tennessee right now. That makes a lot of people unhappy.
That's one of their retaliations.
But nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. I mean, they want this thing worked out, and Ontario definitely is a huge trading partner. And so I'm very optimistic that Carney is the right guy for this moment, and he will get something worked out. It may not be perfect, but it's better than what we got right now.
You know, when Carney got elected on the I'm going to stand up to Trump thing, you know, I think that's faded a little bit. Like, after a while, that is not so interesting to the Canadian people, and what's more interesting is income in their pockets. But it's
or whiskey in their glass.
Or whiskey in the jar. But you've got to go to D.C. if you're Carney. Not only do you have to do it in front of the cameras, but you got to do it while the president says you should still become the 51st
But look what's happened. Every time he goes to D.C., he is so big-footed by Donald Trump. Carney. Every time Carney goes to D.C., I mean, it's an embarrassment. Even though you kind of have fun in sort of a sick way of watching Trump Bigfoot him, he does it every single time. And I know he's an old corporate negotiator, and I'm talking about Carney here.
We've got some video.
He likes to talk about it, but every time they are together, what you see is one man dominating the show, and that one man is Donald Trump. It may be different in the back room, but I don't think so.
Let me give you the news from the sovereign wealth guy's point of view on Canada. It's so bad there, it can't get worse. And so they have one thing, because remember, no more capital went to Canada for the last decade. That's why the Canadian dollar dropped. They have one thing that everybody needs: power, unlimited power in the lowest cost for North America. Watch what happens, because I'm trying to figure out in the old hockey analogy, where's the puck going next? It's going to the power. So I'm taking some big bets, mostly in Alberta, where they're very pro, and Burgum made a deal there for only 10% tariff on oil.
Right.
He was pretty smart to do that with, Daniel Smith, the premier. I got a good feeling about that. Power is what we all need all across North America.
And
I think that's going to work out.
I just want to say they are our northern border. We need to have relationships with them that are positive, in my view.
They got
I
power.
say that as the wife of a Canadian.
3 cents a kilowatt hour. You can't find that anywhere in the States right now. They got it.
Although, you mentioned Alberta. Half of the electorate in Alberta wants to secede.
I know.
I know. And Trump is very much playing into their hands. He knows that is where the money is. Of course, they send so much more money to Ottawa than they get back.
They're having a referendum early in the year just to quell that whole separatism thing.
Good luck.
Might quell it, might inflame it a little bit, though.
Meanwhile, you got the power.
Because you brought up this idea of how the sausage is made and if Carney goes down to D.C. There's part of me that likes seeing that. At least when I see that, I know something's happening. It's not to say something isn't happening behind the scenes, as you suggest. I'm sure they're frantic to try to get this done, the EU as well. But sometimes it's nice to have a little update on where we stand, how quick it's going, which side is, participating more vigorously. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And the EU is one we're waiting for, too.
But that's herding cats. You got 26 different constituents trying to cut one deal. Absolutely. That's going to be harder than Canada.
Yeah.
That's going to be really,
you think August 1st?
I don't think that one's getting done by August 1st. I think the Canadian deal could happen.
Secretary Besson just said this morning, August 1st deadline's not important.
Okay.
So you look at the past 6 months of the Trump administration. I listened to Besson before I listened to Lutnick.
Yeah,
Fair.
he seems to be more. This morning he quelled those kind of August because he came back from Japan. And he said the same thing at the American Pavilion. He said, everybody cool your jets. We want high-quality deals, not fast deals. I agree with you 100%.
Okay. And I think people are patient, and the market at least is accepting of it.